With another embarrassing loss, this time in the Bears season finale home game, a lot of Bears fans are calling for Ryan Poles to lose his job. Will it happen? What are the chances of it happening? We're talking about it all. Plus, the Bears actually do have some interest in interviewing and sitting down with Pete Carroll. All that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And the Bears lost again, this time 6-3, which in a lot of ways with a game that low scoring, and to me personally, it feels like even more of an embarrassment that you lose a game that was that close, that meaning that with one goddamn touchdown, you could have won this game. You couldn't get in the end zone once, right? And Caleb Williams, this was probably one of his worst games that he ever played, as well in the Bears uniform. And with everything and where the Bears sit and how disappointing the season is, the fact that the Bears are on a 10-game losing streak, which very well could go to 11 games. They could finish this season 4-13 after being 4-2. A lot of Bears fans, a lot of people, a lot of pundits, a lot of media are calling and saying it's time for Ryan Poles to lose his job. Now, fans also chanted "sell the team" in the stadium after the game, and that's crazy enough. You guys know how I feel about it. Yeah, I would love to see the McCaskey sell the team, but I don't think they ever will. I just don't think that they ever will sell the team. And we'll see whatever happens with that. But of course, it now goes to Ryan Poles and even Kevin Warren in some. You got some Bears fans that I saw the comments in the post-game show that we did, saying things like, yeah, it's time to even fire Kevin Warren. He's also a clown. And I get it. Where the Bears are right now, it sucks. It completely sucks. And you should not be here after having a 7-win season last year. It being a season where you've added a lot of talent on top of that. And the offense has been completely and god-awful the majority of the season, the entirety of the season. Our offense has been a joke, a large joke, a huge joke, as a matter of fact. And it's unfortunate that that's what happens when you invest so much money on the offense, bringing in Keenan Allen and drafting Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams and Kieran Amagaje as well, who is a player on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of our assets went to offense. DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, right? Even revamping that whole offensive staff there, right? We did a lot of work on that offense. And honestly, it's been the same to worse depending on how you want to look at it. Caleb Williams is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL yet again, with the chance to break the record as far as in next game against the Green Bay Packers. There's a lot of negativity around this Bears team right now that's earned. And Ryan Poles is at the forefront of this. He's the architect of this team, and therefore he gets a lot of the blame. We had a conversation in yesterday's postgame show, the four of us, me, C-Dub, Steve-O, and Bobby, all had a conversation about it. Steve-O and Bobby, I think, were more so leaning towards the side of maybe firing Ryan Poles. It is what it is, right? If the Bears were to fire Ryan Poles, let me be clear, it's warranted. It wouldn't be one of those things where I'd be here like, damn, they should have gave him another chance, like this, and this. No, if they fire him, it's because of the performance on the field, and that's a point that Steve-O made yesterday. He basically said it's results-based. Yes, he's done some good things. He's drafted well. He's cleared the cap space. We don't have any real bad long-term money. All those things are great, but the results on the field are the thing that matters the most. And I cannot knock any Bears fans because of the results on the field, the win-loss column, and how the team looks that want to say that the Bears should fire Ryan Poles. I would never argue against that because everybody has their valid points to that. And I think that, sometimes Bears fans and sports fans in general have to get to the point of realizing understanding and agreeing are two very different things. I can understand a point, but it doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And I think that would cut down a lot of back and forth between Bears fans in regards to this, because the one thing that everybody needs to realize is that we're not the cause of it. Meaning that any Bears fan that you look at, regardless if their opinion is different than yours or not, they're not the reason why the Bears made the decisions they did. Nobody is, as much as we like to think that we're empowered as fans, none of us have any power in the decisions that the Chicago Bears make other than where we spend our money, going to games, things like that, of course. But as far as the decisions that have been made by that front office, the personnel decisions, the coaching decisions, none of us have had a single inkling or power over what this front office and this team has decided to do. We just have not, right? I know we like to think that we have more power than what we really do, but in the grand scheme of things, we don't. None of us. So, and I get it. Discourse is fine. Conversation is fine. I just hate to see Bears fans arguing because one set of Bears fans think, oh, well, Ryan Poles should get another shot. Another segment of Bears fans think, oh, no, you're stupid. Ryan Poles got to get fired. Same conversation with the Fields and Caleb conversation. Like, none of us. Yeah, everybody has the right to have their opinion, and that's perfectly fine, right? That is 100% fine. And like I said, there's a lot of validity in either way when you look at it. Now, the question is what are the Bears going to do? And that is a huge question here. And I think the bigger question that they have to ask in regards to if they're going to fire Ryan Poles or not comes down to, do they trust him to get the coaching search right? Because the last thing that you would want is to fall out of alignment again, right? Now, Ryan Poles he chose not to complete a full coaching search. He had the opportunity ahead of him and presented to him to do so, but he decided to go. He sat down with Matt Eberflus. After sitting down with Matt Eberflus, he decided to go and hire him, right? He had the option ahead of him. Ownership gave him the option to completely restart the process. He decided not to restart the process. Then he went to bat for Matt Eberflus this past offseason, where it seemed like a lot of the people in the front office wanted to move on from him. So Matt Eberflus was Ryan Poles' guy. But with that said, he now has the opportunity to do that process from the start. But Bears fans have some legitimate issues and concerns on should he, right? Because you're not going to get an extension before the season. And I can't remember the commenter. I want to give them some credit that said this in the live post-game show. They said, well, if you're not going to extend him, you got to fire him. Because why give somebody you don't trust enough to extend them the chance to hire a coach that you could be locked in for a couple of years, even after you decide to move on from Ryan Poles? And that's a fair statement. I think that's a fair way to look at that, to say, regardless if you're going to keep him or not, if you have him with your coach, you should probably give him some more time to bring the vision that him and that new coach are going to get together. That's a fair statement as well. Like I said, there are fair and valid reasonings on both sides of this where it comes to firing Ryan Poles or it comes to keeping Ryan Poles. And that's what Kevin Warren, ultimately, he has to decide. Him, the McCaskies, how much they're involved in that decision, they have to decide that, right? And so when you look at it, and like I said, I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of every deal because we know. The deals that went right, that went wrong for Ryan Poles. I've talked about it before. This last draft was, outside of Rome and Caleb, but this was a questionable draft and how he managed some of the assets, knowing he didn't have a lot of draft picks, draft capital. So all those things are there, right? And people will look at it and say, this thing has rotted from the inside out, and therefore you have to move on from Ryan Poles. Again, you guys are valid, right? Now, Kevin Warren seemed to give him a vote of confidence when they fired Matt Eberflus, and that doesn't mean that they can't change that and you can't pivot from that. But you got to look at it and say, if you're a head coach candidate, have any type of question about the longevity, because the last thing that a head coach wants, especially if you do go like a first-time head coach, like a Ben Johnson, if you go more veteran head coach, like a Mike Vrabel, even Pete Carroll, who we're going to talk about in a second, maybe it's not as big a concern there, but you don't want to hire a coach and then that coach who came to play for that GM is looking at a different GM who could have a completely different vision than the GM that they brought in. So it's a valid conversation to have one way or another. We'll see what the Bears do. I have no doubt that I know either way there's going to be a segment of Bears fans that are disappointed by the decision. And this now, keeping Ryan Poles or not, is basically turning into the decision last year on keeping Matt Eberflus or not. That's the way that this seems like it's going to go. And we'll see. But they're going to definitely have to make that decision shortly after the season. If Ryan Poles is not fired a week or two after the Bears' final game next Sunday, then that probably leans toward he's staying, because they're going to get cracking on this coaching search really quick. And, I'm sure a lot of their candidates are going to go in the playoffs, so that can give them some time. But even if you do hire a new GM, you're going to want them in very, very quickly so that they can then prepare for this head coaching search. So we'll see what's going to happen there. But one of the guys in that head coaching search, who reportedly is interested in the Bears job, a couple of days ago, in Pete Carroll, that came out, I think actually on Christmas Day, it came out that there's some interest in Pete Carroll, or Pete Carroll had interest in the Bears job. Maybe it was the day before Christmas. And so this one came from Albert Breer, who says this. Yes, Pete Carroll has interest in the Bears job, but that's not only one he's looking at. I'm told he has informed all the teams with openings that he is looking to get back into coaching in 2025. Additionally, I'm told that the Bears are interested in sitting down and having a conversation with Carroll about their opening. Now, this is a big turn from what the Bears did last year, for example, when it came to Jim Harbaugh, right? They didn't interview. Now, they didn't have a opening, and that's what they used to default to, saying, well, we didn't sit down with Jim because we didn't have an opening to discuss with Jim. They have an opening now, right? And I do think that there is a level of saving face in this if it does go down. I don't know if the Bears will ultimately hire Pete Carroll. I have no idea, to be 100% honest with you. But I do think that with the name and the cachet that he has, the Bears don't want to look like, oh, like we didn't do our due diligence again. So they'll probably sit down with Pete Carroll. They may even bring him in for a formal interview. I don't know if he's ultimately going to be the hire, of course, but I do think that the Bears, if there's some mutual interest, we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. I'm not saying that Pete Carroll's necessarily the guy. He's not the guy that I would go with. I'm going to be clear here. He is not the guy that I would go with. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some valid reasons, again, on things that he can bring to this Bears team. Somebody pointed out, great call out here, that if you do hire somebody like Pete Carroll, you better make sure that one of your assistants, one of your coordinators that are under him, that they're the next guy up, that he's basically grooming them to take his job in 3 or 4 years, because I just don't see Pete Carroll at 3 staying around longer than that. So you may want to have a natural trajectory to where you're not scrambling to find your next head coach after that. But we'll see what the future holds. Let me know what you guys think down below. Now, hearing that the Bears also share some mutual interest in Pete Carroll, do you think he could be the right decision for the Bears? Why or why not? Let me know that down below. All right, let's get into the voicemail bag for today. It is Friday. That means it is Mailbag Day. This first voicemail that we got is from Milton.
Yo, hey, Bobby C, the Big Kev Stevo, CBC Cognac boy. It's Milton, the Dark Knight from Virginia Beach. Again, calling y'all, seeing how y'all doing after another abomination of a game this past Sunday. Man, I got a few questions to ask y'all, CBC, and maybe y'all can help me out with this. Maybe this is just me that notices this, but have you ever noticed in like this game and like the game against the 49ers, they had injured players on the team, significant players at that. It could be like 5, 6, 7 people that are out for the whole game. How come we never attack those weak positions? We never attack the armor. We never break the armor and expose them for who they are, and then just have our way against those teams. Have our way with the teams during the game. I've noticed that with this team. Every time an opposition has a significant amount of injuries, we never attack them. Never. We always up there playing patty cake with them and not even doing the damn thing. Not executing, not getting off on the very first play, always 3 and out, punt, all the time. And then we try to come from behind and still end up losing the game. What kind of mess is that? Maybe that's just me that notices that when they do it, they don't never expose these teams to have a significant amount of injuries. They never do that. And then two players that we currently have, Kevin Jenkins and Karen Amagaji. I think I'm pronouncing his first name right. If I am, I apologize. But anyway, why is it Poles needs to get this draft right? He don't need to be drafting these guys. Oh, they look good on paper. They can play. And then come to find out these guys have significant injury histories. Like with Kevin, he had back problems. When they drafted him, he had to take his whole entire rookie season to have back surgery and to recoup. And every single season since he's been here, he don't play the full season. Am I expecting them to be perfect? No. But he's going out. Like, again, he went out again this past weekend. The same thing with Karen Amagaji. I understand his inexperience. I get it. Maybe I'm expecting too much. I'm being a realist about this. At the same time, he was hurt coming out of one of the Ivy League schools. I think it was Yale or Princeton or whatever school he used to play for. It don't make an ounce of sense. Poles needs to get his head out of his ass, get out his feelings, and don't be crying over these players. Oh, they could be this. I don't want to give them up. No, this is a business, and your job is on the line. And especially this forthcoming year is a contract year for you. If you get this draft wrong, I wouldn't even be surprised if they fire his behind. I'm just done with it all. I don't feel that much of anything. I can't get excited for this team anymore. And then the last thing, I'm gonna leave it off with this. I saw the Commanders-Eagles game this past weekend, and it just re-triggered me about what happened with us against the Commanders with the Hail Mary.
Yeah, I think you have to be able to move the ball before you can attack a team's weakness. The problem with the Bears is that we don't have any semblance of an actual offense or really defense at times, so it's hard to specifically attack a certain area when you're just trying to scramble to find the way to move the ball consistently. So I understand what you're saying in that, and it's not always as simple as, boom, a team has an injury here, let's just attack that one spot. You got to have the personnel, you got to have the game plan, you got to have the ability to attack something specifically, and I'm sorry, but what we've seen from the Bears offense this year, I don't think that they have the skill or the drive or or the coordination to attack something specifically, in my personal opinion, right? So, I think that's a part of it. And again, that does go to coaching, absolutely, in my part, in my point of view. And we'll see what happens there. Now, as far as that, the Poles didn't draft Tevin. So I just wanted to point that out. He did not draft Tevin. Tevin was already here when Poles took over. Now, as far as Kieran, he did draft Kieran. And Kieran was a project. We knew he was going to be a project. But when you look at some of the other players that were on the board still when we drafted Kieran, it raises a lot of questions. This was not, outside of, again, Rome and Caleb, of course. And, even Torrey Taylor was a good pick, but was he the right pick? That's the question. Would that have been better kind of allocated elsewhere? But this was a rough draft for Ryan Poles. Let's hope that he can fix it and correct it next year, because this year it was a little bit rough. And how you use those draft assets, a little bit rough. But let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas. Because it's important. Of course, y'all know how you need to go for another Matt Nagy. You need to get a proven guy. But at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter. If Ryan Poles doesn't find a way to fix the offensive line, that's really the only thing that really matters, man. Because I feel like with a good offensive line, we will be looking at Thomas Brown's offense and probably going, man, okay, he's good enough to stay. I really do believe that. And I think Thomas Brown's a good enough leader to lead this locker room. It does not matter how good our next season goes. It's not going to be what offensive-minded guy we bring in or, head coach we bring in as far as, a leadership standpoint goes. All that shit is important. But if we don't get this fucking offensive line fixed, we're going to have another mastermind coordinator, quote unquote, who can't get his play ran. Is one thing that y'all want Ben Johnson? Okay, well, one thing Ben Johnson has is one of the best offensive lines in the league. Okay, so don't expect Ben Johnson to come in here with this patchwork offensive line and expect, him all of a sudden produce the same results. So, this season is more so on Ryan Poles, man. We spent a lot of resources. We got $80 million and the draft. Okay, it's looking like so far we're going to have a top 10 pick. I think we just need to go pass rusher right there because I'm tired of Montez getting his ass double teamed every fucking game. But if we go trenches there, that's fine too. But we got $80 million in draft picks to get this thing right with the trenches. Now, only thing we need on the defensive side, just another pass rusher. But on the offensive line, we got about 3 holes we need to fill. So, and if he doesn't do it flat out, it's not gonna what coach we have back there, guys. More focus, more attention needs to be on with this line than it is going to be with anything else. He couldn't get the job done if we had to. If Caleb has the offensive line, this kid's going to take off. Offensive line, and I'll be preaching that all season. Texas up there now.
Yeah, head coach is just the first step. And, I know you have the whole thing of, Ben Johnson's just another. I think that's too broad of a comparison. Honestly, I think it's missing the intricacies of what makes Ben Johnson kind of better. Matt Nagy also didn't call the plays. So, it is what it is there. But I think it is, like you said, head coach is just the first step. You got to really attack the trenches on both sides of the ball, I think, right? Of course, the offensive line first. I know you said draft the edge in the first round, but I think with some of the linemen that are going in the first round, you need to draft that line first. I think you need to draft that offensive line first and foremost. And I wouldn't mind maybe seeing a veteran edge come in here, because Austin Booker's still a project. Darrell Taylor's still somebody you can bring back who has been productive on other teams before as well. So I think you can piecemeal something together with a key veteran signing. But that offensive line, I would love to see that first round pick go to the offensive lineman so we can get another really good offensive lineman in here to anchor that offensive line and move forward. We got the 5th most cap projected in the NFL, and we got a lot of draft capital. This is a year where we can make a move. And we got to see what Ryan Poles is going to do. If he's still the GM, this is a year Ryan Poles got to use those assets very well, because you cannot have another punt of an offseason where you don't address the trenches, you don't address this offensive line. That's just unacceptable at this point, in my opinion. You cannot go through and do that again. You got to get that shit together. Let's hope that they do, man. Let's really hope that they do. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from our boy, Fred.
Yo, hey, what up, man? What it do to your boy, Fred? Hope your holidays was all good with you and your family, man, and rest of the CBC gang, man. Hey, I was watching your show on Thursday, man, and, like, you spoke on, like, you think you should have fair trade DJ. I don't think they're going to trade DJ unless he continues to be a problem. And I think the reason why DJ, I could be wrong, I think the reason why DJ expressed how he's feeling, because DJ, he's tired of, losing. I mean, he went through that with Carolina, and here it is, he comes to the Bears, and, thinking this team was ready to, win with the team they have, but it ain't no thing go that way, man. So, I mean, a lot of them guys that we signed, man, they probably, tired of losing. Hopefully the Bears, get this shit right in the offseason as far as, like, head coach and offensive line, another edge and another DC, possibly another safety, because somebody that we know that's going to be good and that's going to be healthy. Because Brisker, I like Brisker. I'm a fan of Brisker and everything, man. But Brisker got to stop knocking his own stuff out the game, man. Like, I love how he played and everything, but Brisker's going to have to stop knocking himself out the game, dog. Like, that kind of, like, hurt our secondary as well, man. And honestly, as far as, like, speaking of secondary, I think, I don't know, man, because I had big, high hopes for Tyrique Stevenson and, Terrell Smith. I think we should get another corner, though, man. Maybe, trade Tyrique Stevenson or something. I don't know, man, because he disappointed me this season, especially, with that Washington game, whatever, though. But I don't know, maybe, whoever be our next defensive coordinator come this offseason, and if whether we go back to a 3-4 or we stay, playing a 4-3, somebody that would, like, come in and they can run a 4-3 way better than what the hell we did this offseason, that, Tyrique can bounce back, him and Jalen, and the whole damn team really needs to bounce back, man. So it's like, we can't keep, we're talking about the same thing over and over and over. So I'm just looking forward to the offseason, man. And to wait and see if the Bears actually going to make the right move. They're going to actually spend some money and take their time hiring the right coach. And if you ask me, the coach I would prefer the Bears to get, I'd rather them prefer to get Mike Vrabel, because Mike Vrabel come in, with a winning record. He had, 1 to 2 losing seasons. So, and I can tell, like, Mike got that, that leader among man mentality to where, like, he'll have his team in order, have his team playing for him. Like he had some guys, in Tennessee. So hopefully, man, we do get Mike. That'll be lovely. You know what I'm saying? If not, that everybody's so hung on Ben. But let me know what you think, big dog. Chicago up, Bear all the way down.
First of all, I didn't say that they should trade DJ. I talked about the article that came out. You got to listen a little bit better, Fred. No, just throwing a joke. Fred's family around here. But here's the thing. The recent injury to Jaquan Brisker wasn't his fault. If you go back and look at it, this one wasn't one that he did something wrong on. Now, in prior years, yes, I'll give you that. But this wasn't the one that was on Jaquan Brisker. So it's not about Jaquan Brisker not protecting himself for this year's injury. And it absolutely has hurt and limited our secondary not having Jaquan Brisker out there. I think that anybody can see that. Like, Jaquan Brisker was so important to the little bit of identity we did have on that defensive side of the ball. And I don't think that cornerback right now is a focus. I think that I get it. Like, a lot of these guys did not have the season that we expected overall, right? But I think we still started off the season with the secondary being damn good. I do think that where this team stands, the feeling around the team, all that type of stuff, things started going down. The morale, all that stuff started going down. I think you get in the right defensive coordinator. We still got a lot of talent in that secondary where we're going to be fine. So I don't know if you want to focus draft assets on a cornerback. Now, safety, yes, I think with Jaquan's injury history, Kevin Byard only having 1 year left on his deal, I do think you need to maybe draft a safety somewhere in this draft, especially if you can get a good one. But other than that, I don't think cornerback right now is the biggest issue for this Bears team personally, right? But again, I think at some point in the draft, it also shifts to best player available. I think that happens in every draft. You draft for positions when those positions are, out there and you have a lot of talent at those positions. But at some point in every draft, it shifts from that to best player available. And we'll see what happens with the Bears in this draft. I think that they can, and we'll see what happens. I don't think that they should trade DJ. I know some Bears fans kind of more knee-jerky, call him a cancer and things like that. I don't think that that's true. I think DJ is just frustrated, as a lot of Bears are right now. You should be frustrated with how this season went. I'll say this. If the Bears players that aren't frustrated by how this season went, they don't need to be here. That's my personal opinion. So we'll see how this develops and goes along, and hopefully Ryan Poles, if he's still the GM, has learned from some of his mistakes. He can get his shit together. That's my thought process. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. And by the way, intro music says Chi-Town down. Do you realize that that's disrespectful to the city of Chicago? Intro music, get your ass out of here trying to change things around. That's stupid. Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.